Ever wondered why a group of crows is called a murder? Is it because they're cunning enough to plot one? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the world of brainy birds, where the crows reign supreme. You see, crows aren't your average feathered friends. In fact, they're some of the most intelligent creatures on our planet, with a knack for problem solving that would put many of us to shame. Now, when we talk about problem solving, we're not talking about a crow figuring out how to snatch a French fry from an unsuspecting diner. Oh no, we're talking about a level of intelligence that allows them to understand cause and effect, and to use tools in ways that even our closest primate relatives would be impressed by. Picture this, a crow presented with a complex puzzle that stands between them and their next meal. Do they give up? Not on your life. They study, they strategize, they experiment, and yes, they solve that puzzle like a feathered Einstein. But that's not all. These brainy birds also have an incredible ability to communicate. They don't just caw-caw at each other like some mindless chatterbox. They use distinct calls to alert their comrades to danger, to call for backup, and even to mourn their dead. Yes, you heard it right. Crows hold funerals complete with a crow eulogy. And let's not forget their memory. Crows can remember human faces for years, and they hold grudges. Cross a crow, and it'll remember you. And not in a good way. They don't call it a crow court for nothing, but wait, there's more. Have you ever heard the myth that crows live to be 300 years old? Well, that might be a bit of an exaggeration, but these birds do have a surprisingly long lifespan. More on that later, though. So, next time you see a crow, remember you're looking at one of the smartest birds in the sky. These brainy birds are so much more than just cawing creatures. They're problem solvers, communicators, and, dare we say it, potential masterminds. But it's not all serious business with these crows. They're known to be quite the pranksters, too. Now, when we say pranksters, we are not talking about your typical whoopee cushion or fake spider shenanigans. No, these brainy birds have a style all their own when it comes to mischief. Take, for instance, their well-documented love affair with shiny objects. Who needs a magpie when you've got a crow with a penchant for pilfering? From coins to keys, anything that gleams is fair game. And if you ever wondered where that missing earring went, well, you might want to check the nearest crow's nest. But their playful antics don't stop at petty theft. They're also known to engage in a bit of tail pulling. Yes, you heard that right. These mischievous birds have been observed swooping down and yanking the tails of unsuspecting animals purely for their own amusement. Imagine being a dog, minding your own business, and suddenly feeling a sharp tug on your tail. You turn around and there's nothing there but the distant cawing of a crow, chuckling to itself high in the trees. And let's not forget their version of a friendly game of catch. Except, in their case, it's more like catch the walnut. These clever birds will drop a hard-shelled nut onto a busy road, let the passing cars do the hard work of cracking it open, then swoop down to collect their reward. It's a high-risk game of chicken, or should we say crow, that shows just how daring and inventive these creatures can be. So next time you see a crow, don't just see it as a simple blackbird. Look a little closer. You might just catch a glimpse of their playful side, a hint of their mischievous nature. It's a reminder that there's often more than meets the eye when it comes to our feathered friends. Who knew that these feathered friends could be such jokers? You've probably heard the stories of crows being thieves, especially of shiny objects. But is there any truth to it? Well, let's dive into that. The image of a crow as a gleaming object kleptomaniac has been around for centuries. And let's be honest, it's a pretty funny mental picture. A crow swooping down to snatch up your grandmother's diamond necklace, flying off to store it in some secret bird treasure trove. But is it accurate? Are these feathered fellows really the magpies of the bird world? Interestingly, a slew of scientific studies have challenged this notion. Research has shown that crows, despite their reputation, are not particularly attracted to shiny objects. Rather, they seem to have a more discerning palate. Their number one pick? Food. Yes, these birds are foodies at heart, preferring a juicy worm or a crisp cracker over a glistening piece of tinfoil any day. Now, don't get me wrong. Crows are curious creatures. They're known to pick up and examine objects, which may have led to the thieving myth. But when it comes to choosing between a shiny object and a tasty treat, the food wins out every time. And here's a fun crow anecdote for you. There's a story of a crow who stole a shiny pen from a man's desk. The man was understandably upset, cursing the thieving bird. But imagine his surprise when, a few days later, the crow returned the pen. It seems the crow had merely borrowed it, perhaps to write a bird version of war and peace. Who knows? So it seems our feathered friends are innocent of this particular crime. They're not the magpies after all. But remember, if you're missing a pen or a shiny trinket, it's worth looking up in the trees. You never know what you might find. And if you do see a crow, don't forget to say hello. They're smarter than you think. And who knows, they might just say hello back. And what about the myth that crows live for 300 years? That's a lot of birthdays to remember. Now, we've all heard a tall tale or two in our time, but this one might just take the cake. Or should we say, the bird seed. This idea that crows can see 3 centuries pass is a myth that's been floating around, probably started by some crow with a flair for the dramatic. But as intriguing as it sounds, I'm afraid it's a bit of a bird-brained idea. Let's bring in the facts, shall we? According to ornithologists, the ones who actually study these creatures, the average lifespan of a crow in the wild is about 20 years. Now, that's not to say they can't live longer. In fact, the oldest known crow lived to be a whopping 59 years old. It's like the Methuselah of the bird world. But even this super ager of the skies is a far cry from the 300-year mark. That's like comparing a chicken's flight to a falcon's. Sure, they're both birds, but there's a world of difference between them. So, what gives crows this relatively long lifespan? Well, it all comes down to their intelligence. Crows are incredibly clever creatures. They're problem solvers, they're adaptable, and they're always learning. This isn't just bird brain babble, it's scientifically proven. These traits help them survive in a variety of environments, from bustling cities to quiet countrysides. And while they may not be immortal, they do have a knack for sticking around. Remember, they're the birds that are known for their problem-solving skills, their adaptability, their curiosity. They're the pranksters, the thieves, the survivors. So, yes, crows may not live for 300 years, but they sure do make the most of the time they have. And we have to admit, that's pretty impressive for a bird that's often just seen as a harbinger of doom. Well, it appears our clever crows aren't quite immortal, but they certainly do have a good run. So, what have we learned about our feathered friends today? Well, we've certainly busted some myths and uncovered some surprising facts about crows. These are not just any ordinary birds. They're smart, they're playful, but they're also misunderstood. Let's recap. Firstly, crows are incredibly intelligent. They can solve puzzles, use tools, and even recognize themselves in mirrors. That's right, folks. These birds have more brain power than some of us on a Monday morning. They're the Einsteins of the avian world, and they certainly don't mind showing it off. Secondly, crows are known to be quite the pranksters. They're curious and playful, often engaging in antics that might leave you scratching your head. But don't be fooled. The joke's on us. These feathered comedians are simply enjoying a good laugh. And who can blame them? We could all use a bit more humor in our lives. Now, you might have heard that crows are notorious thieves, particularly of shiny objects. But that's not entirely true. While it's not uncommon to find a crow with a shiny trinket, it's more about curiosity than kleptomania. They're not out to raid your jewelry box. They're just exploring the world in their own unique way. And finally, the myth of the 300-year-old crow. While it's a fascinating tale, it's just that, a tale. Crows, like any other bird, have a natural lifespan. While they might seem immortal in folklore, in reality, they're living, breathing creatures, just like you and me. So there you have it. Crows are smart, playful, and misunderstood. They're not thieves, and they certainly don't live for 300 years, but they are fascinating creatures that deserve our respect and understanding. So the next time you see a crow, don't just see a bird. See a smart, playful, and misunderstood creature. Who knows, it may just be plotting a prank on you.